There is a phrase that I come back to over and over and over again in business life, on my channel, in parenting, in real life, in friendships, in relationships, in homeschooling. And that phrase is, you endorse what you tolerate. Every single thing that you let slide, every single thing that you leave a little piece of your Jiminy Cricket on the table, not properly addressing, every single time that you just let it go instead of addressing it, you are in actuality saying yes. You are endorsing it and you are encouraging it to continue happening. And today, that's what we're going to talk about. Welcome back to Making Everyday Magic. My name is Shauna. If you are new here, we are a homeschooling family of 4. I have a current 4th grader and a current 8th grader. We have been homeschooling for 9 years. So I have been a parent for, by the time you see this video, 14 years, and married for so many more than that. And well, I mean, together for so many more than that. And family member and a business owner and all the things. And it is true over and over and over again. What you tolerate is what you endorse. So today we are going to talk about that. Before we go any further, please scroll down, hit the big red subscribe button, turn on that bell for notifications, and give this video a thumbs up. As always, you can find me right on down in the comments or over on Instagram at Making Everyday Magic. And yeah, we're gonna dive right in. And I'm really sorry because I know, at least for some of you, this is going to be uncomfortable. And I don't know that it is something that you maybe have thought of. You endorse what you tolerate. So every time that you don't correct something in your homeschool, every time that you don't correct a behavior in your child, when you lack that consistency that I always tell you is so important, everything that should be a firm boundary or a no, or should receive some pushback, every time one of those doesn't, you are saying yes. You are not only allowing it, you are encouraging it. If you have young children or even a pet, you know that if you don't correct it, if you don't stop it, if you do not redirect the behavior immediately, it will continue. They will think it's okay. And this is something that you have to learn the hard way. You can have all of the best of intentions every step of the way, but without being consistent, it will backfire on you. I want you to think about this with me. So if you have a homeschool that has a really hard time getting going in the morning, have you considered that it's not actually your morning routine that's the problem? It may be your evening routine. So if you have a hard time getting your kids down, if you aren't firm with bedtime, if you don't maybe have a routine that allows your kids to relax and get into a good sleep, by not addressing that on the front end, what you are actually doing is endorsing. You are signing yourself up for a hectic and crazy morning. And so often, so many of us are short-sighted and we don't see that permissiveness is actually our downfall. And it may seem easier in the moment to let them have 5 more minutes on the screen in the evening. It may seem harmless to let them stay up an extra hour. But what you're actually doing is yourself a disservice. Not just yourself, your child. They don't want to behave badly. They really don't. But sometimes they genuinely cannot help it. What you tolerate, you endorse. And I know as women, you have had relationships where this has happened. For example, myself, in my previous life as a hairstylist, there are perpetually people who will be late or people who will no-show. And if you tolerate that one time without a firm and severe pushback, then they start to think that it is okay. I had one client in particular who was notorious notoriously bad for just not coming on a Saturday morning, just not coming because she didn't feel like it or she had a hard time getting out of bed or things like that. And it wasn't a big deal to her, which is why so many hairstylists do have plans in place for cancellation. Now, don't get me wrong, there's always something happen. Yes, something happens. Yeah, you got a flat tire and you totally couldn't make it. That's great. It's one. You get one usually. And then after that, you need a deposit to rebook, or you're not able to rebook, or your hairstylist lets you know that you are actually not the best fit together. And I have had to do all of those things because, again, what you tolerate, you are endorsing. So if, let's bring it back to parenting, you have a child who will be totally fine, okay? But as soon as you say no, they full on crash course, meltdown, fits, screaming. And then in an effort to save face and embarrassment, you acquiesce to what they want. You've literally trained them. You've told them that you will tolerate everything up to a certain point. And then that point you give in. You are training them to treat you that way. And that is a problem. Same thing with puppies, okay? They know if they scratch the door hard enough, you're gonna give up and let them in. You have to be consistent and you have to be firm and you have to do it on the front end, or else if you do slack off school today, who's to say you won't slack off school tomorrow? And then again and again and again, and before you know it, you're nowhere near where you want it to be. I've seen so many reports in the homeschool Facebook groups and the homeschool groups where people get to the end of the year and they find out their kid had actually done nothing or learned nothing or made no progress, or they let it slack a little and then it was impossible to get going again. What you tolerate, you endorse. And this comes back to everything, whether it's the cheeky comments from your mother-in-law or your mom, whether it is the cheeky comments that you get in the comment sections of your videos. What you tolerate, you endorse. And I can assure you, as somebody who has awesome RBF here, people don't do this with me. I do not tolerate it. I do not. I have a friend who is genuinely the nicest person on actually a lot of friends who are genuinely the nicest people on the face of the planet. And I try to tell them all the time, like, you are being taken advantage of. These people are no good for you. I need you. Just say no. Tell them, blame it on me. I will take the fall and I am okay with that. What you tolerate, you endorse. And when you endorse it, it picks up speed and it gets bigger and more often and more terrible and more chaotic and more horrible. Please do yourself a favor. And there's another phrase that I do say very often. I'm doing later Shauna a favor by standing firm now, by having your boundaries, by knowing what you will and will not tolerate. Now you are deciding what later Shauna, later you, has to deal with. When you cut it off now, when you are firm, when you have your boundaries, when you just don't take the shiz. Because sometimes just don't take the shiz. You don't have to deal with that again later. People know, but you are not to be trifled with. And I assure you, it's something on my face, okay? I don't know what it is about my aura, but I do not take the shiz and people do not bring me the shiz, okay? What you tolerate, you endorse. Don't try to be a people pleaser. Please do not. Do not please those people. Please this person, okay? Please this person. And I'm not saying be a jerk. I'm not saying never help anybody. And I'm not saying things don't happen. What I am saying is don't become a doormat. Don't get stepped on, okay? You're going to keep your homeschool in order. You're going to keep your kids in order. You're going to keep your relationships in order. You're not going to tolerate these things. And this actually happens quite a lot. I hear this so much. And it is genuinely so sad. The behavior of spouses in relationships that women tolerate. I cannot understand it. I don't care where you are in any situation. You can pivot and you can fix this right now. And don't tell me that you can't. Don't tell me that you're in too deep. Don't tell you that it's not possible. Do not. You can decide right now for tomorrow, you are not going to tolerate the things that you don't endorse because you have decided that's not how you want to be treated, how you want to live, the things that you want to put up with, okay? You're going to call it out. You're going to say what it is, and you're going to do it firmly, kindly, but firmly, and you are going to get the things that you do endorse, okay? So if your kid is snippy to you, if it's in front of people and you think it's a little, nope, we're addressing that right now. If your kid is screaming in the middle of somewhere, sit down next to him. I have done it so many times in the middle of a store, like, nope, this is where we live now. Oh, is this embarrassing for you? Yeah, me too. Here we go. I want you to think about the bigger picture. People are so short-sighted when it comes to homeschool relationships, parenting, puppy training, everything. People are so short-sighted. Right now I can't. Right now I'm too tired. What you tolerate, you endorse. And it is becoming increasingly problematic as a society. We don't tolerate this. I'm so sorry, but no, that behavior was abhorrent. You need to know. We are not going to do it, okay? We are strong, proud parents. We are happy homeschoolers. We are raising the next generation of little humans, and we are not going to tolerate the things that we do not endorse, okay? We're gonna use kind words, okay? We aren't gonna put our hands on people. We're going to be respectful. We're gonna learn how to go out into public because yes, the world is child friendly. If your child is made for the world, your child's feral, okay? Your child has never had a curbing of their behavior. Now, don't get me wrong. I am not saying that you can control them because you absolutely cannot. But you can tell when the parent is trying and when the parent is not. Why? Because what they tolerate, they endorse. That's why. When you're around people with bad behavior, what happens? What happens? What do you see? You see that what is tolerated is what is endorsed. And what is endorsed is what becomes habit, what becomes behavior, what becomes personality types. We aren't going to do that because we have, one, a debt to society, right? We owe society humans who can fit into it. One, we owe those humans a society we want them to fit into. Two, and we also owe it to ourselves to be around people who we don't have to tolerate. I hope that you found any of this helpful, entertaining, or informative. If you did, please scroll down, hit that big red subscribe button, turn on the bell for notifications, and give this video a thumbs up. I want to hear from you. What is a situation that you decided to no longer tolerate or a situation that you do not tolerate? What was the outcome? Is it homeschool? Is it relationship? Is it marriage? Is it, I don't know, one of those mean girl friends? Is it somebody trying to get one over on you at the mechanic? What is it? Is it in your homeschool? Did you learn that you had to change something and then you got the outcome you wanted? Did you learn that you were letting it slide so much? Maybe you're giving your kids snacks all day and then they don't eat dinner. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's that simple. What was the thing that made you realize that what you tolerate, you endorse, and you were not endorsing the outcome that you wanted? What is it? I would love to hear it down in the comments. No shame. We've all done it. And again, it's a lesson you can only learn the hard way. I assure you. Next video after this one is going to be separating idealism from realism in your homeschool, because those are very different things. And in that space between them is where our homeschool guilt lives, thrives, grows. Bye guys.